Justin has requested me on Patreon to review the iconic horror movie Scream. Directed by Wes Craven, this is one of my favorite horror films for multiple reasons. For starters, Kevin Williamson came up with such a clever premise. The idea of characters being aware of the cliches and tropes of the horror genre, particularly slasher movies, presented so many opportunities to dig into why they make certain decisions as they run away from a knife-wielding killer. However, while it does satirize the conventions of the genre, it's clear the respect and admiration Craven and Williamson have for horror. Most importantly, though, the people we're watching are able to have fully rounded personalities. When I think of the best slasher films, they are those where I actually grow some investment in the characters and hope they can make it out there alive. And in the case of Scream, we have an especially sympathetic protagonist with Sidney Prescott. For me, she is up there with Laurie Strode in Halloween as one of the best slasher movie heroines. This is someone dealing with a lot of trauma over what happened to her mother, and she has our sympathies through the entire film. Neve Campbell plays her so well, showing her savviness, but also the genuine fear she has when Ghostface is calling. Also standing out is Courtney Cox as reporter Gail Weathers. Through this character, the film comments on those who seek to sensationalize murders and other crimes for the news, and this is particularly aged well at the time when it seems like true crime podcasts are very popular. However, there's a dimension to Gail, and it's great seeing her evolution from an antagonist for Sidney, just trying to get the next scoop, to actually attempting to stop Ghostface. Jamie Kennedy also does a great job of playing cinephile Randy Meeks. He's the one who lays out the rules of the horror genre, and I think Kennedy found that right balance and making him someone who loves spreading his knowledge of cinematic conventions while avoiding becoming an obnoxious character we cannot stand. Regarding Ghostface, I like that the movie never forgets that he's just a regular person in a costume rather than a big bulky killer like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. So when he gets hit in the head with a door or someone throws beer bottles at him, it actually does cause him to be injured and fall down. Part of the fun of this movie and the sequels is the mystery of who Ghostface really is. That adds another element of horror, as it could be any of Sidney's classmates or even one of the adults who's making those phone calls and chasing after someone with a knife. Although when you watch the movie again, it's probably not too shocking who it turns out to be, as the list of potential suspects is very small. Watching the movie again after knowing the identity of Ghostface, you start to pay attention to where they are in the scene, and it's clear Williamson put a lot of thought into where each of the major characters are in a given moment. This is just a really smart screenplay, and like I said, a major component that set it apart was the characters being aware of how slasher films tend to go. I love the commentary on horror film conventions, and while Sidney and her friends attempt to avoid falling into the same trap, they also come to recognize how hard it is to think on your feet when a psycho is chasing you. Then there's Wes Craven's direction, which is another key element of the film's success. He knows how to build suspense as we wonder when Ghostface will leap out and stab one of his victims. While Scream is a satire of the genre, he still directs it like a legit horror film, not only utilizing his own style, but also paying homage to his contemporaries like John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. One of the standout scenes is the opening. Having Drew Barrymore featured prominently on the poster and putting her in the first scene was a clever bit of misdirection, and shows that this masked killer could go after anyone. We are in that house for about 30 minutes, and even in that short amount of time, we grow a sympathy for Casey Becker. It also successfully sets up Ghostface's methods as he taunts her over the telephone. Barrymore did an excellent job of a short screen time, and Raj L. Jackson brought an appropriately chilling and threatening quality to the Ghostface voice. The climax at Stu's house is also terrific. We spend a considerable amount of time there, and you know exactly where everyone is at any given moment as they all react to the horror being unleashed. One of the big questions posed by Scream is how much violent movies influence those who commit murder and do other horrible deeds. This was a major debate at the time, which would further intensify following the Columbine High School massacre. The film makes it clear that the killers are just psychopaths, which is the case for a lot of serial killers, including the Columbine shooters. Someone does not watch a violent movie or play a first-person shooter game and then suddenly switch to murder. They already have violent thoughts before then. We even see with Randy someone who is very familiar with horror films, and he's one of the most harmless characters in the movie. Unlike a Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, the scary part about Scream is that killers like these ones do exist in real life, and sometimes their motive really is just these horrible thoughts and an obsession with death. I think the film does an exceptional job of balancing the comedic elements with the more serious and horror-focused scenes, so while the self-referential aspect is what most people remember, it's not the only thing that makes Scream such a terrific movie. Now, if you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Justin.